Hi, I'm just a fat little Asian man, and this is food. Which is exactly the kind of jokes I used to hear as a Korean growing up overseas. I remember trying to refute the Asians eat everything claim with my Filipino and Indian friend back in school. Yeah, real convincing, I know. COVID didn't really help at all with the accusations, by the way, meaning I had to add Bad Chomper to the long list of nicknames. I remember back in 2024 when Trump said immigrants were eating cats and dogs, and I was like, oh god, he knows. It's over for us. But it turned out he was talking about Haitian immigrants. I kinda thought that the eating everything was our thing, along with the Asian eyes. Here's the thing, we Asians can tank a lot of racism because, honestly, most of us are pretty racist too, but here's where we draw the line. Do not insult our food. If you're brave enough to do so, you've got to do it correctly. Because I think we can all agree that instead of racism based on stereotypes and ignorance, racism based on accurate facts and history is much better. Unlike how my middle school English teacher thought, Asia's not some different shades of China, there's not just one big Asian cuisine out there. We just kinda happen to like the same stuff, that's all. You see, most of us don't go around eating cat skewers or snake stew anymore. It's only done by older people or in a few rural areas. It may be because of hygiene risks or changes in perspective, but it's actually because we aren't starving to death in long famines anymore. If you're here because you're curious of Asian foods, or if you just want to mock Asians for eating weird shit, I guess both of you came to the right place. Because all it takes is just a little bit of history and culture to understand who eats what and why they started eating it. Let's start where it all began, the holy rice. You can't talk about Asian food without rice. If there was a way I could describe my love for rice, this video would be over 5 hours long. The thing about rice is, we didn't choose the rice chose us. You see, rice thrives in hot, humid, and tropical climates, which just happens to be like most of Asia. Not only is rice pretty fucking delicious, it has an insane yield, producing the most calories per acre. While it was a pain to harvest, more effort invested usually directly increased the yield. The more people gathered, the more rice was produced, and the more rice was produced, the more people gathered. The cycle goes on. Due to this, much of Asia's early civilizations grew near rivers like most civilizations and exploded in population, not like other civilizations. The population growth was so massive, most Asian history goes something like this. Zhao Sina takes power, 3 million perish. While most of European history being something like Count Squidward Quincy of Who Even Knows allies with Earl Sponge Boberto of Bumblefrick, establishing the Republic of Bikinius Bottomus with a population of 25. Yeah, it's true. China's Song dynasty doubled its 60 million population in just the span of 200 years. India's Mughal Empire jumped from about 121 million to 186 million in 300 years. Not all Asian countries experienced such massive population growth, but rice definitely made an impact on the huge population of Asian countries compared to other parts of the world today. Wow, did I really just talk about rice for all that time? I really do love rice. Anyway, population growth meant that even if there was enough rice or wheat to go around, there was not. There was a severe lack of nutrients, especially protein. All the wars and corrupt rulers in Asia didn't help either. This environmental and demographic pressure made our ancestors to be insanely resourceful with food, even with the most unwanted ingredients. Do you like chow mein, ramen, or pho? Well, noodles were actually made from cheap and tough grain mixed with starch and were considered as poverty food when they were first made. Overlooked ingredients like cheaper or discarded animal parts were also transformed into appealing dishes. Everything from beef tendon noodles, chicken feet adobo, horumondon, sanjikguk, ganchua, pork feet, all made from either intestines or scraps. From the ingredients alone, they might sound really disgusting, but I can personally attest there's a reason why I'm a fat little Asian man. I hear foods like soto betawi or sup gearbox are very delicious as well. A lot of those dishes first started because of necessity, but people realized some of this stuff was actually amazing and it became really popular. A prime example is the dim sum tradition, where the middle class couldn't afford luxurious feasts, developing food where dough was filled with minimal meat, creating a wide variety of tiny dishes. Sounds familiar? It's also the way dumplings were first invented. Noodles and dumplings. Sounds amazing, right? But this was only possible when rice production was kind of working. If the rice productions failed, it meant that you were royally screwed. Even today, we Asians panic when there's no rice in the house. How do you think our ancestors reacted years ago? Famine was when a lot of the really strange foods were made because people ate literally everything available to survive. As a Korean, a lot of my foreigner friends ask me, why do you guys eat this stuff? It's just so bitter and tastes like a random leaf. I'll tell you why. It's because there was nothing to fucking eat here. Half the Korean veggies are just some random plants growing in mountains. Our ancestors stripped the mountains so bare, even the mountain tigers had nothing to eat, attacking villages to eat humans instead. Another famine food is insects. People started to eat the tasty little buggers as a nice source of protein, as they were readily available. Which is why you can see bug skewers in street markets, and we even have canned bugs for sale. Fermented foods also developed to make shit last long during famine and long winters. There's some that are easier to eat and get used to, and some that are not so much. Also, let me just quickly rant about the fermented squid. It's called hongo, and I think it's exclusively only eaten in Korea. Its origins are said to come during the 1200s when coastal Koreans had to evacuate from pirates. And let me tell you, it's easily the most disgusting thing I've ever tried. The closest thing I've come to emulating the taste is probably surströmming. My parents absolutely love hongo, and so I've had lots of opportunities to try it, but it never gets any better. Finally, the part you've all been waiting for. Dog meat. Yes, I know, being hungry is not enough reason to chow down on old buddy here. Of course, unless you're starving, that is. You can already tell from all the foods mentioned throughout the video that if an Asian dies of starvation, it's literally because they ran out of everything edible, or at least died trying. If you look at the top consumers of dog meat, Cambodia, China, both Koreas, Laos, and Vietnam, they're all countries that had extremely difficult post-war periods. Let's take a quick look. Both Koreas spent 5 years brutally killing each other down to ash. Laos and Vietnam were bombed into the ground by the US. China went into one of the greatest famines in history with Mao's policies. And well, for Cambodia that is, all of the above. It may be a shocker that a lot of Asian countries still eat a lot of dog meat, but you've got to understand, most of these countries looked like this just 50 years ago. There's a lot of other countries that also eat dog meat too, like Indonesia, Northeast India, the Philippines, Thailand. Albeit it's a lot less than the dog meat Avengers. People also eat dog because they still believe in traditional medicine, where each food apparently has a sort of temperature system that has differing effects. Dog meat is believed to have a hot temperature, good for vitality and energy. Cats were also seen as mini tigers, with people eating cat for tiger-like energy. Bats, snakes, deer horns, they're all the same reason. There is almost no scientific evidence for dog meat ever having these effects, and it's probably because dog meat is usually served with hot spices like chilies, garlic, and ginger. Nowadays, it's almost extremely difficult to see most countries eating dog meat, being outlawed in several countries like the Philippines, India, Taiwan, and South Korea. People say it's because Asia is becoming more modernized and more push for animal rights, but I kinda think it's also because Western people kept on bullying us about eating dog that governments just straight up decided to ban it. It's probably a little bit difficult to understand the cultural difference, and yeah, I totally understand. It's just like how I can't fathom how Europeans chose to starve to death by not eating potatoes because it was cursed or some shit. If you ask me why some Europeans would rather starve instead of eating potatoes, while Asians will eat literally everything before starving, I can't give you an exact reason, but I'd say it's how ideals developed in both regions. On the surface, main beliefs of both the West and Asia have many food restrictions. Abrahamic religions forbid eating of some foods as it's seen as sinning against God. Buddhism has a very strong taboo against killing animals, while Hinduism literally treats most animals as gods. However, unlike Judeo-Christian beliefs that were spread relatively quickly through the Roman Empire, Asian beliefs took a much longer time getting through the extremely diverse region. It's called syncretism, where religions kind of blend in or coexist with local beliefs. For example, Buddhism combined with local folk religions, creating many different denominations. This is also kind of applicable if you take a look at the Middle East or Central Asia, where Islam spread really quickly, and compare it to Malaysia or Indonesia, where Islam spread more gradually. Both regions do have diverse foods, but the years of halal and haram foods is maybe why Middle Eastern or Central Asian countries aren't seen as eat everything Asian types. It also might be because of how we see morality. In Western beliefs, there's more emphasis on the individual's decision making to choose faith or rules despite desperate hardships, like not eating potatoes even in a famine. In Buddhism or Confucianism though, there's more responsibility on leaders or monks instead of the quote-unquote layperson. In a crisis, a leader maybe shouldn't eat dog, but the same standard isn't really applied or expected from the normal person. Whether shaped by rice, by necessity, by traditional medicine, or by religion, Asia is home to some pretty odd food ingredients that may look unappealing. But it's also why Asian cuisine is so full of creative and tasty dishes that are beloved globally to this day. Also, we're not that different, you know? I mean, French people eat snails, there's cow balls in the US, I've already mentioned Sturströmming, there's Italians with insect cheese. Swiss people eat dog too. Germans eat raw pork sausage, which would send my ancestors into a coma. With the economy nowadays, new struggle meals are probably being created at this moment. Some disgusting, some tasty, but all creative. It would be so much fun if we could make fun of each other equally, but I guess calling a French person a snail licker is not as fun as Asian dog jokes. I guess I'll have to see how creative my comment section becomes coming up for nicknames of different countries around the world. Thanks for watching another one of my dumb videos. If you want to know more about Asian stuff, please subscribe, because more unhinged videos are coming in the future.